All right, Lee, we're glad you're here today.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, as always, for being here. Now, we have a good question for you. How do we start vegetable seeds indoors? What do we need to know about that?
Okay, first we need to look at the seed and select what seeds we want to plant in that garden this year. If you carried seeds over from last year, you maybe before we get ready to plant, test the germination and make sure that they are viable seeds so that you don't lose 10 days in planting those. So you can put those in like a wet paper towel and keep them warm and just see if they start to swell. So that indicates that the seeds are viable at that point.
So we know that they're good and ready to go at that point.
That's right. So then we can take those that we saved from last year, or if you go to the store and look at the seed packs, you can purchase off the different seed racks that are available in your area. Look on the back of the seed pack, and it's going to give you lots of information no matter where you live in the United States. It's going to tell you when is the right time to plant those seeds. So you look at the number of days before your last frost is, and then you want to count backwards so you know when to plant them, not too early, but on the right time.
And it's no matter where you're living, right?
That's correct.
Just look at that seed packet, it gives you the information that you need.
It gives you all the information you need.
All right. So what about soil? Everybody wants to know, what kind of soil do I need, to get my vegetable seed started?
You want to buy something that is a peat-like mix, something that will stay moist. You can't just go out in your yard and dig up the clay soil that we have in the south.
Now, why can't we do that, though?
Because you're not going to get the drainage to occur in the germination mix. So, so we like to get a sterile mix. You may also, if you get something out of the yard, you may get a lot of fungus that may keep your plants from doing good.
Now, what about containers, though? What are the best containers to use for starting those vegetable seeds?
We want to start with a clean container, whether it is a tray that you can buy at the store, or whether you have a pot left from last year. You want to wash it and make sure that it is sterile, doesn't have any fungus on the pot, and one that has drainage of some type, because you don't want your seedlings sitting in just water. Or you can buy a different type of tray packs that already have these plugs that you can use to germinate. You soak these in water and they will swell up. You have your seed in the center there, and it will swell up and stay moist all the time. And they sell these type tray packs at different stores you can have. Some of them will have just a small plug that will swell and fill up the entire pack, and you plant in that direct.
And these are readily available for homeowners?
Homeowners, you can get them at different type stores, farm stores, your box stores, available in nurseries and garden centers all over the United States.
Pretty inexpensive?
Inexpensive.
Good. Yeah, homeowners want to hear that.
Right,
inexpensive. All right.
You can spend as much as you want to.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. Now, you've mentioned a couple of times about fungus. So why is that important when we're dealing with starting our seeds?
Right. If we keep it too wet, the fungus grows in the soil and you'll get in the disease and the root system and dampening off, and they'll come up, but then they'll collapse, and that's usually from fungus in the soil.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that, right?
Right.
All right, so now let's talk about temperature effects. And we get that question a lot, as extension agents. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that.
Right, and that'll be on your seed pack and tell you what temperature to start your plants at. Most of our vegetables like about 70 to 75 degree temperature. Some of our cooler crops like cabbage or broccoli of that type, you can start them a little bit cooler. But your peppers and tomatoes, they need a warm, eggplant need a warm temperature, 70, 75 degrees constant temperature in the soil.
Wow, 70, 75 degrees. All right, now what about the moisture conditions? Because you know what happens, most people tend to over water. So yeah, how do we get the correct moisture conditions?
That's one of the nice things about these tray packs, because it has a drainage hole there in the bottom, and you water it and it swells, and the water in the bottom of the tray will keep it moist all the time, so you're not having to regulate.
Good.
If you're doing just a regular mix yourself in a pot, you can use a mister to keep it moist. Sometimes you try to just pour water on, you may wash the soil out, be too much force, but keep it constant, just moist.
Can you do the same thing, with a pot? If you
can do the same thing with just a pot. You can plant your seedlings in a pot.
About that. So how can you tell, though, if you've gotten your seedlings too wet? what would be those signs?
Well, it would be collapsing, or you could not even germinate. Just may swell and never send out the plant itself. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, most important, right? The light conditions, because again, this is a question we get often, about the grow lights and such. So, what do you say about that?
Well, the grow lights, you can buy the fluorescent or LED. You want to keep the lights about 4 to 8 inches above the plant when you're starting out.
Okay.
And as the plant grows, then you raise your lights up on it. If you have got it too low, then you may get into little problems. If it's too high, you may get into more of a leggy plant with this stretching, trying to find the light.
Spindly,
Get spindly,
trying to get to the light. Okay. All right. And so those lights, again, are something that homeowners could purchase, at the stores and things like that? Okay.
Our average lighting in the house is not enough for a plant seedling to germinate and grow off to a good seedling itself.
So you would recommend grow lights?
Right.
Yeah, if at all possible.
Yeah. Okay. If you don't have a greenhouse setting or something, that way.
Right, yeah. And most
don't.
people probably will not have one. Okay. So how do you get the seedlings ready to go outside, though?
Well, once it comes up and you have 2 true leaves on the seedling, most time people will either transplant it into a bigger pot for it to grow off, or if you're using these type of starter pots and kits, you can leave it in those, and once it gets enough of size, you may want to harden it off a little bit, lower that temperature. Once the seedling comes up, we really like for the night temperature to be a little bit lower than the day temperature, and that hardens those cells off a little bit.
Okay, so the night temperature lower
Than the day temperature.
That's how it hardens off. Good. All right, so what are the common problems and possible causes of seedlings not growing?
Most problem is it's not enough light, and unless you're doing some type of grow light, really it's just not enough light for that seedling to grow. And the other problem is the plants elongate and stretch because there's not enough light, and they get leggy and they're not hardened off enough to go out in the cold. Because when we set them out early, we're going to have some cool nights. If that plant's not hardened off, it's not going to do well.
Okay. So we have the plants in the pots.
Right.
So how do we know to go from the pots to the ground?
Well, when it gets up of size, usually about 4 to 6 inches in height, and our temperature outside is going to be a controlling thing. If it hasn't, if they're still talking about having cold nights, and you may need to hold off a while. Or if you've got a garage or a carport or something that you can protect them from frost, but they still get some cool temperatures, they'd be okay. Harden off.
All right. Really, we appreciate that good information about starting those vegetable seeds indoors. And you probably have a lot of experience with that, don't you?
No, I do.
I'm sure you do. We appreciate that information. Thank you much. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please click the subscribe button below.